Their story, so it wasn't as much of a process as it would have been if it was a novel and had to have some continuity to it. I started writing these stories, and actually the last story, Intensive Care, was the first. It's heavily autobiographical, and as a lot of these things are. Because my daughter had had an accident in Mississippi, and it threw me back into contact with her father and this whole little strange Mississippi Delta kind of world. I guess I was trying to find a way to write about it. I was able to go to Ragdale. Do you know what Ragdale is? It's a writer's retreat type place in Lake Forest. And for there, I was only able to go for 2 weeks because of the job thing. But some people get to stay for up to 2 months. You can walk around the prairie, and there's no real obligations. There's except to just kind of be quiet and respect people's space. Don't play music. And I was at Ragdale, and I didn't accomplish anything except to in 2 weeks, except to write 2 sentences, which are pretty close to the first 2 sentences of the story.
2 sentences?
Yeah, about the first 2 sentences. You know, that type of thing. It gives you the productivity can come later. You know, you can't really work to a schedule all the time. So anyway, I was at Ragdale, and I started this one, and the voices just started to kind of come, and it kind of freed me up of structure and sentence structures and grammar and things.
And that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about too, is the voice. Where does that come from?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of it. The specific language is from the people that. My children's father and his people that I stayed with in Chicago when I had my children.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not a long part of my life, but it was a very intense part of my life. And they are from the Mississippi Delta, and talking, you know, and I always loved the way they use language. So it's people, my children's father, and I wish I could remember more of the kind of things that he would say that are repeatable. But but the kind of thing, like he would claim to be 50 long before he was 50. And when he was like 45, and he said, "You're not 50. He said, "Can't do nothing with the change from it." And that he just, you know, had a comfort with language, though he had to know that it wouldn't get him in any kind of, you know, in any doors to use that kind of language, but.
So do you hear? I mean, because
you
hear it. Okay.
Yeah, because I think if you try to force it, it shows. You know, and if it doesn't come, there's no point in trying to write it, because it's not going to really work.
And over how long a period of time did you write?
Oh gosh, it was probably 10 years.
Okay. 10 years of writing, how much a day or how much a week or?
I'm not functional like that.
Okay.
Just, you know, as things came to me, and at that point I was walking a lot more than I do now, and riding the bus a lot more, and so that internal dialogue thing just, you know, keeps going. And of course now I have a cell phone, so the internal dialogue is just gone. It's
which means what? Because you talk on the phone and stuff?
If you're talking to somebody, then the voices in your head aren't really saying much to you.
Anyway, you wrote 19 short stories, but you were sending some out, right? And they were getting picked up places?
They were not really getting picked up.
Okay.
But then the Writer's Digest, they have annual competition with 10 categories, and I entered them in 2003. Church Booty was '1 in the, and that's out of like 2,000 entries. And Llewellyn and the Holy Ghost was 3rd.
Okay.
And then in '06, Big Bob was 1st, and Revo was 3rd, which is just kind of weird. They're not 1st and 2nd, they're 1st and 4th. But both times it was 1st and 3rd. And which gave me a little more confidence about it. And Ian Morris, I think is the name, was the final judge. And I went to an AWP conference, and he was there, and I talked to him a little bit. And, you know, he told me that people really aren't going to pick these up. You know, none of the regular literary magazines, because they don't fit.
What didn't fit about them?
Well, the voice and everything, they don't, if you look at, like Tri-Quarterly or something, the kind of stuff that they're publishing, if you stick one of these in the middle, there's no continuity in it, because the journals you send things to, and they always claim, we'll take anything as long as it's good. Well, that's just a bunch of crap. Because they do have some continuity, and there can be things like, you had a dog and they're a cat person, that kind of thing. I do better with prizes than with literary journals and things, and I think it's for that reason, because there is they have a vision, and it just doesn't fit. And with short stories, there are competitions like this because people don't publish. The mainstream publishers, if there is a short story collection by a single author, it's been part of a package deal with a novel, or somebody who's already been established with a novel, because it's probably true, but the belief is that it doesn't make money, and so agents don't want it, publishers don't want it. But there's probably a dozen of them, these competitions, and the Flannery O'Connor's one that I really wanted. I was a finalist for it. But this one I actually didn't even win, but they've never published they didn't know what to call it. I think it says second winner on here someplace, which is preferable to runner-up and second place and that kind of stuff.